What job should sound do, really? It's not just decoration.
Purposes for a sound logo is to be recognized. Consistent usage over time is very, very powerful, like the Netflix, da-dam.
That the shorter the sound, the more expensive it should be.
You don't really need to be a big studio to be able to work with big brands. We've been working with Spotify over a large number of years.
We made all UX sounds for LinkedIn platform, for example. We obviously love sound in any form, but we also love silence.
Calle,
yes,
Hans, glad to have you here on the Asketic podcast and visiting Riga and Asketic Studio. And today we will have a workshop afterwards, but just wanted to talk with you guys about your experience in a field which seems usually maybe not so commonly understood by many entrepreneurs, and which is sound design. Yeah, maybe you can briefly share about your studio, what you do. Yeah, so for our audience, which is entrepreneurs, designers, marketing people.
Sure. We're PLAN8. We're called PLAN8, and we're a design agency for music and sound. And we do sound, and we do music composition, and we focus a lot in the intersection between technology and sound and design. So, we've short just background on us. We've been around for how many years will it be? Since 2008. We try to keep things in eights. And we're based in Stockholm, Sweden. And now we're here in the first time in Riga.
It's great to have you. So maybe can you share a bit of your background? Because sound design, these two kind of disciplines seem to be a bit different. Like sound, usually something audible, and design, it seems like visual. You have put also on your website that you design sound and sound identities. What is that? Yeah, why today a company, like a business, should think about sound design?
I think, sound is obviously a part of everything we do at PLAN8, from big compositions and arrangements down to the smallest frequency adjustment in the UX sound. So sound is part of everything. And when we speak about design, it means for us, it has a purpose. Sound has a job to do. It's not pure art. It can be artful, but it's not art. It has a job to do. And I think we get that in common with visual design agencies as well. It's the purpose behind it. Solving problems for our clients, basically, but we do it with sound, not with graphics or fonts or colors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's actually part of the reason why we call ourselves a design agency for sound rather than a sound design agency, because it puts another focus on the design rather than thinking about us as just a shop where you go to produce things, because we do that, but we do it purposefully and strategically. So we make sure that we always have a purpose and work with our clients to find that purpose. So that to us is design rather than just, craftsmanship or production.
Your portfolio seems really impressive, like huge international well-known companies as Spotify, Netflix, Google, etc., Robinhood. But I guess you started at some point quite small, right? Maybe you can a little bit share about the beginnings and at what point you understood that this is your field where you can make money and do it at the very top level.
Maybe you should go, Calle, who was there in the beginning.
Yeah, sure. No, we basically started out as young friends with music more as a hobby and not as a business. And at one point in our lives, we met in a music studio where we were doing, music recordings for other bands and music composition, etc. And we felt that, this might be an area where we can actually combine our hobby and actually make a business out of it. So those first years were really like any struggling music producer or composer, in a studio with late hours and all that. And yeah, we thought that why not try to make this work as a business as well. And that's nearly 20 years ago now. And then we've passed different stages. We're still a quite small company, but we've been fortunate enough to be working with some of the brands that you mentioned. And yeah, we find that you don't really need to be a big studio to be able to work with big brands. I mean, even if you're Google, you still have that one person, that's going to hire you for a job. Then maybe you have to, in the projects, you will have multiple stakeholders that have their say, but it's really up to that one person in a mega corporation to hire you. And they don't necessarily need a huge company for that.
What do you think, these top level companies whose standards are super high, when they look at the company size, obviously for me I was really impressed that you're such a small team, like single digit team, but still can make such amazing work. But what do you think for like Robinhood, for these companies, when they decide their partner in sound design, they value the most? It seems that it's not the number of people of team, right? So
yeah, I mean, again, I think it's going back to most of the people that hire us. It's like I said, one or two people, and they might be creatives themselves. Maybe they come from that type of background, and it's a niche. I mean, sound is considered a niche product or a niche service. So I think it makes sense for them that it could be, this small company up in Scandinavia somewhere. Of course, it helps that Sweden has a reputation of being, we have good musicians and good music producers, and a design aesthetic that we share with the Scandinavian companies. And yeah, I think it's cool, in lack of a better word, for them to be working with someone small also. They don't necessarily need that big. For us, it can be a challenge, more on the producing side, because if we work with a big US client, they might have like 5 producers on their end for a big project. And we're shifting production between us, and it's like, we have to make some late night calls to be able to cater to all that producing that's going on. But other than that, you don't need a huge team to be able to produce the finest sound art out there. So
also, if I can just add to that, I think there's another angle to it. Also finding the balance between, it's a lot of fun working with music. It's a lot of fun working with sound, but also balancing that with the professional and the strategic side of things. And I think we managed maybe to find a balance between thinking and talking about sound and making theory out of it and applying the theory into our creative work. Meaning the end result makes sense. It should feel good, but it should also work out great, and finding that balance between how we think about what we do and how we actually craft it. I think that's also important in finding trust in our clients, making the project work between the rational sides and the emotional side of things.
But for your clients, I assume that most of the clients are quite well educated. What is sound design? They come, you don't have to sell it, or but in your website, I like that it was mentioned that you work starting with local startups to international corporations, enterprise. So the scale is really different. But for the sake of our audience, who's maybe not so, some of them might not be so well aware what the sound design, how would you pitch the value proposition of the service you sell, and why it is so, also for business, it is necessary to think of sound design?
Yeah, I mean, going down to the really fundament, we get 2 eyes, but we also get 2 ears, like 2 of each. Makes sense to also think about how things sound, right?
Yeah.
And I think the last 10, 15, 20 years, audio in general, that value has risen a lot. The interest has risen a lot, maybe with the introduction of all podcast successes like this, but also like smart speakers, everything. And also how we interact with our screens today. I mean, what functionality can be supported by or substituted by sound, you know. We hear a lot, and I think we all can agree on being screen saturated now and then, you know, wanting to get away from these devices and from the screens, and maybe let our ears do some of that burden, you know. So I think the timing has been great to raise these questions of what audio can do in our everyday lives, but also in the design context. So that's the philosophical pitch of things. And then, of course, I think in our world of being sound designers and thinking audio first all the time, I think just asking these fundamental strategic questions about sound is actually kind of groundbreaking in the last 10 years, like asking about the purpose, why, what job should sound do really? It's not just decoration or like cherry on top. It's actually a fundamental design element. Where should it live? What the timing look like? How can we time with other design elements, such an emotion logo, or what time of the day? How can we assimilate our sound to the context? And of course also, how should it sound? I mean, how can we diverse ourselves from competition? How can we make sure this sound isn't mixed up with the kids' PlayStation console or whatever it is? I mean, asking these strategic questions around sound makes the end output so much stronger and so much easier to sell. I think both the clients, but also internally within our clients' companies.
But do you believe that every company should have a sound identity?
Yes.
Yes?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, no, but like for example, if I have a construction company, I'm like producing stuff, maybe from your own experience, why, I would like to hear your case, why should I invest in sound design? Okay, I understand I need to maybe do something with the visual identity and website, okay, but sound design for B2B construction company?
I mean, it really depends on where you are in your process and how you communicate, I would say. I mean, maybe there's an opportunity for sound if you have that sort of company. Maybe not. Maybe, it's not on your highest up on your priority list, but then again, you could seize an opportunity to make something that really stands out in terms of the competition, right? Because most construction companies are not working with sound, right?
Definitely.
But maybe that's an opening for you to do something, and it doesn't have to be necessarily tied to, it doesn't have to be a sound logo or something like that. It could be thinking about how do we contain the noise around our construction site, for instance.
Really functional.
Yeah, it's functional, but also artistic. It could be an artistic expression. Can we figure some interesting idea out for a construction company that makes people remember, makes it stand out from the competition? So there's, I think it's if you let us sit with that question and look at a company, I'm sure we can come up with some good reason why they should work with sound, but it might not be the top priority if you have to prioritize, where to put your money, depending on the company and where they are in their journey, so to speak.
I mean, we obviously love sound in any form, but we also love silence. And that can actually be the case in some, reducing sound. Maybe, it's not that rare that we also suggest to our clients, maybe you should take away this sound.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Make a silent, safe space here and there. And I would also argue that most companies, whether it's construction or in another business, most companies make sound in some form. The question is really, is that intentional or just a consequence of not being aware? And I kind of like a world where we are aware of things.
Yeah. Both of you have also a bit of background in music, but today you're the creative head and strategy is your role. Can you maybe lead me through the process? If I would be like a new small company, as Asketic is, not a big company, it's quite small. When I should approach you, for example, if a company should first think of their visual identity, get it done, and like brand strategy and understand their profile, then approach you, or in ideal way, if a company is thinking about rebranding or brand upgrade, should it be done simultaneously when thinking about the visual aspect, the timeline? What would be? Is there like the best timing to think of this?
I mean, a very common thing that we get is in rebranding. So they reach out to, a design agency or have an ongoing relationship, and they do an upgrade to their design. Or it's a startup and they create the design language from start. That's a good opportunity, I think, to also start engaging us and start talking about sound and what sound can do and how it can leverage the visual design and, like you said, the sync between the two. But we see we're seeing clients that enter at different, points. Some have a very good understanding of what they want, in terms of they're mature and we like to approach sound as well, because we haven't been doing that.
Can also be very concrete, like we're adding a new feature to our app or our platform. Now is a good time to sound design it all, creating a family of UX sounds or a design language for how our app or platform sounds, for example. So it's a very concrete brief, these are the moments where we see a role for sound, or where sound is absolutely crucial sometimes. And it could be, we make everything from water alarms for IKEA products to sending messages on LinkedIn. I mean, the range is huge in terms of what kind of sound interactions we design,
You worked also with Spotify, right? It's a Swedish company, right now international, huge company. How well or easy is it to maintain consistency in sound design? I assume you also have some guidelines. You want that within a brand ecosystem, it's not like every other month a new idea comes in. How easy what is with such huge companies to work in, or you read their guidelines and then you adjust, or?
So we've been working with Spotify over a large number of years. So it's been different work streams. We actually created the audio brand guidelines in the first place many years ago. But I think most of the briefs that we get now are created around design concept that is updated every now and then. So really, we just need to make sure that we stay aligned with that design concept. So for different products or new add-ons, marketing, etc., there's within Spotify an in-house team that works out, that design language for that new campaign, etc. So in that case, it's really more for us to adapt to the campaign, obviously staying within the limits of the brand. But most of that work is not really brand specific work. So it's more like, a campaign or,
Do you find it more challenging working with a small company or with a huge enterprise with already existing assets and I
think you never know. I mean, that's one thing you learn to don't have pre-acquisitions before. Also in terms of what's fun or not. I mean, big projects, small projects, they can be so challenging, both types, and so much fun. And what you might think be a smooth ride ending up being really complex.
Just again, looking at your portfolio, really impressive names. That statement, we also work with local startups. It gives hope that also for a small company not to be afraid to approach you.
Definitely not.
Should they? Yeah, okay. And if some of our audience also possibly consider thinking about sonic identity, should they just reach out, or what should be their understanding or brief, or they can come without knowing, just saying, okay, maybe we should you have some kind of process audit, and or
I mean, we really try to stay curious and open, and we love to innovate and, you know, finding new ways to experience sound and new places, explore new places where sound can live. So I think if we share that curiosity about doing cool stuff with sound, I think there's a good potential. We are interested to hear new clients out, big or small, you know, and we love conversations. So come up for a coffee or give us a call.
Yeah, it usually starts with that, you know, reach out, or we meet and we start talking and see if there's some shared vision, or, you know, if we're interested, both of us. And yeah, then we do have a process for how we, once they're on board, so to speak, how we take them through that design journey. But as a starting point, I think anything is interesting enough to evaluate. There might be areas that we don't want to go into because it doesn't feel appealing or right or morally correct or ethically correct.
Specific? Can you be more specific? Like categories of business? Or
no, actually, we haven't really had that problem up until now. But I imagine that there could be a time where we're like, no, that doesn't feel like. You know, a company, a brand, or an area that we want to involve ourselves in.
But how important, you mentioned the shared vision, the potential client.
Yeah.
Can you?
I mean, first, usually that client, if they're very unexperienced and don't know, they might not have a vision, right? So it's up to us to inspire them, I would say. That's the first step. If we can inspire them to work with sound and they feel that, yes, this is something that will bring us value and this is something that we'd like to try out. I mean, that's what I consider a shared vision. Okay. But then exactly what that is, it could be so fundamentally different between different ones. I mean, huge corporations usually are more like they have a vision of what they want in terms of asset deliveries. Like it might be we're looking for a sound logo to our visual identity, for instance, or we're looking for a definition of our music portfolio. Like how should we sound when we communicate publicly? But smaller brands, I mean, it can be anything, really. You know, anything that's.
It's really, for me, interesting. Can you maybe just bring it a little bit more specific into the process? For example, Asketic. You know, we have our visual identity, and we have our podcast, and then maybe some background music. Okay, here's an office. We have some different playlists, but the sound side has never been defined. For example, if Asketic would come to you and ask, okay, we want to also like
work with sound,
work with sound. Would you do like an audit of our visual, I don't know, aesthetics and style, and offer us three? You know, it's like Asketic should be more like a jazz music or like electronics, or what this discovery process, if you of course can share about that, if is it long, or it's a deep dive into the soul, or like
sounds cool, deep dive into the soul.
Maybe you can fill in, but I think typically sometimes our clients come to us with a very concrete problem, like we need to solve this, or we imagine sound can solve this for us. But sometimes it's about identifying opportunities. Maybe if you came to us, we would see like what's opportunities for sound in terms of the Asketic universe, you know, what's your touch points that are available where sound could play a role, or how could you improve this part of your business, or how could you make your identity more diverse or more clear or more honest or authentic by using sound? If I really want to feel the flesh and blood of your brand, maybe adding emotion through sound could add another perspective or another, density of your brand. So identifying opportunities, and that's down the line forms the why, right? Why should we use sound? We can always choose to be silent, you know. But if we're gonna add sound, let's make it, you know, appealing, nice, purposeful, you know, so it has a role. It doesn't become noise, really.
Yeah.
From there, touch points, you know, where can we use sound? Social media, here in your beautiful office, maybe. When someone calls on your cell phone, on your voice machines, in your app, on your website. I mean, when you start looking at it, it's like sound is everywhere, really.
Yeah.
And then timing, questions of timing. I mean, how can we sync up with your beautiful visual identity? How can sound, play along with your motion? Maybe 1 + 1 becomes 3, and then how? What should it sound like? I mean, where do we find inspiration in terms of the how? In your backstory, or in the shapes of your visual identities, or could be anything, that sparks inspiration to the how. And that's typically also a combination of rational things and emotional things. Meaning, if we create a notification for an app, we need to make sure that's heard also in a busy subway station. Another time it can be like a really discrete nuance thing that can be really quiet. But often we need to think about both the functional side and the emotional side of things. So that's like in very short terms what a process looks like. And then when we go into the studio and craft things, I mean, I think it shares a lot with how you work, You explore directions, iterate, revise your drafts, etc. And, get feedback from the clients and finally end up with something really beautiful, hopefully, in the end.
And how long usually does this process take? Is, of course, different clients, but like for a smaller company, that's, I guess, more of our context. For small, mid-sized company, how long this process? Weeks, months?
Because we get that question a lot, we decided on an answer, and it's 12 weeks.
Okay, 12 weeks.
Yeah, so there you go.
12 weeks. It's starting from very first onboarding, briefing, and
to deliver,
And what are the deliveries? Do you also define like guidelines and principles?
Typically, The deliveries, I would say, are meetings, of course, in terms of we have workshops usually, one in the beginning. The assets, obviously, the sound assets, if that's what comes out, if that's the, delivery. Sound logo, music, etc. Guidelines definition. We have, if we work with UX sounds, we have a design system that we call sound bricks, which is a way to visualize UX sounds. And so that's all usually part of it. It's like an interactive, clickable web page, really, where the company, it's part of the brand guidelines, so you can click through the family of UX sounds and hear how they relate to each other and how they sound, basically. So, assets, guidelines, workshop, that would be the typical.
Yeah. And also, like, sometime in the halfway the process, also it forms a strategy delivery, like a deck, like summarizing workshop insights into a strategy, which can be used more long term, for addition of assets down the line, or selling it internally, or whatever it is, where we find positioning, purpose, everything, and also in terms of music, also rights, like usage rights. That's also a deliverable somehow.
We live in the time of AI, and today it seems that people can, with a few clicks and prompts, create visual assets, also audio. What would be your kind of advice, but comment for someone, for a small business again, who thinks, okay, I have a tight budget for this and that, but who would like to also explore this audio side and start to do that, but seems okay, maybe I can do myself, or assign like a marketing person, do this and find the background music, go to this website or that. Why they shouldn't do that, or
I heard someone say the other week that AI is neither artificial or intelligent. It's neither of those. It's simply a tool right now. And I think we treat that way. I mean, it's of course, we can theorize about making theory about the challenges, and the competition. But I think most of all, we're excited about finding new ways to be creative. Yes. I mean, we don't feel the threat really. Yes. I mean, we are mostly excited, I say. And of course, it sparks our processes in new ways.
But could it be also related to rights? that AI rights are not clear enough?
No,
right?
that's a tricky subject and tricky area that no one really knows how that will pan out right now. I think we're curious to see where that's headed. We use AI tools today to, design drafts, and sometimes it makes it easier for us to show a client what the end result could be.
Or kill bad ideas really quickly.
Yeah, kill bad ideas.
Early stage ideation.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, eventually it will be super, super good, right? But just because you can output a lot of things, great things, really fast, doesn't mean that's the right for your brand. So again, it goes back to that, asking the right questions and finding the right answers to your problem. And maybe it's not that easy to do that on your own. Maybe it's better to get help with that along the way. So I think curation, which is part of what we do, we curate this brand into the right direction for the position that they want to take. That's at this point you need human input, right? And you need help along the way. But yeah, you could if you wanted to, or you could ask your friend, to compose for you or do that work. It's not that the content is scarce. There's a lot of music out there.
It is.
And a lot of sound. The question is which one is the right, and how should I deal with it? How should I make it purposeful for me and my vision, rather than just let it be unintentional. Like Hans said before, a lot of things are unintentional in this world, and we like to make our job lives at least, about trying to put some effort into it and make it more intentional.
And also really keen on not killing the part of, at least for me personally, the part of my work which is fun and meaningful. Don't kill that. I mean, kill the boring stuff, So personally, I feel, quite disciplined about what role do I want this to have in my life, and in my professional life in particular,
In this process, working with as creatives with businesses, and also trying not to be an artist but still solve real problems for real businesses, what is the most challenging part or phase? Is it the beginning, as you mentioned, to find this vision and to land on the same page, or is it like in the middle, or like implementation afterwards when you have send the assets but the company starts to do like crazy stuff? Or
maybe you should mention something about implementation, because that's a part which is sometimes forgotten but really important.
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot of times it's out of our hands, the implementation, right? It's we send over assets because that's how it's been traditionally done. When we started working more with digital, we really tried to get a grip of that end as well. Like, if we send off UX sounds to be implemented into an app, how can we make sure that we implement them in the correct way so they actually sound great, and not someone just brings up the volume and it sounds distorted, or they use the same sounds for some completely different hardware and it sounds horrible, or things like that. So we tried to get that closer to us. But again, I mean, to your question, that is a challenge. We know if we talk about sound logos, for instance, I mean, one of the purposes for a sound logo is to be recognized, right, by people. And if the brand isn't using it, well, then not enough people will hear it, obviously, right? So consistent usage over time is very, very powerful, as you would see with very famous sound motion logos like the Netflix, Dadam, or things like that, right? You use it consistently a lot over time, people will get familiar with it. And even if they don't know if they like it when they first hear it, familiarity is really important for acceptance. So, I recognize this sound. It feels familiar, therefore it's good. So that part is definitely a challenge. And I mean, it's a challenge sometimes to get people on board with your preferences. Not necessarily our personal preferences, but what we as a team during the process have come up with, like, this is a killer concept and a sound for this brand. I really hope that they will go for this one, and we try our best to sell it, because we know that this is going to make the difference. And we can't really convince them sometimes, because it might be multiple stakeholders and they tend to lean into a different direction. And maybe we don't have the right stakeholders at the table. Maybe the ones that we are talking to are on board with the vision and the idea, but then someone else who has not been part of the conversation makes another judgment. And that's challenging, because it seems like some really good ideas and some really good sounds are kind of flushed out because
the majority of your...
I wouldn't say the majority. No, it's not. But sometimes it happens, and it's frustrating.
But what do you do with those great ideas? You store them, and can you repurpose for a different company?
That happens. Sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Can you share about one of the recent most challenging projects and maybe most fun projects, like both?
This is tricky to answer up front, because a lot of the projects that we do are confidential for a long time. So we worked with them, and for instance, if we do hardware sounds, if you imagine sound for a dishwasher or something like that, it's a very long process before it actually comes out on the market.
About 3 years or so?
At least 3 years. So for that reason, it's really hard to think about where are we in this process. Is it like, have we passed it? But do you have any project that springs to mind?
Two just comes up immediately. One thing which is interesting, we made all UX sounds for LinkedIn platform, for example, and that's really inspiring because it's about 1 billion people every day hearing them. So that's like a big thing, which is inspiring, and I'm still getting happy every day when I hear them. Like, good job! Like that turned out well. Another thing that comes to mind was one of the first projects we did together, and that was for Lego House in Denmark, the Lego's Experience Center. Beautiful building by Bjarne Ingels, their superstar architect, which is all about, learning in play with Lego, like cutting-edge interactive experiences involving Lego in various ways. And we made all sounds for that complete experiences, from the like login stations to the gates to the actual experiences where you play around with Lego. And we got to, play around and sample a lot of like different Lego sounds, and really like being, fundamentally on the floor recording things and, swiping out Lego bricks on the floor, etc. So that's also something that was really like stimulating from a creative side. Also a very particular character when it comes to audio, where the actual product can actually be used for the sound identity. So that's like two proud moments. That comes to mind, one old and one new.
And then one that usually tends to come back and that people like a lot is this project we did with Reese's Puffs. I think I have. Maybe you can, if you turn around behind your back, there's a box. I can make some American cereal ad here. It's a very healthy breakfast snack. No, it's not. It's not. But it tastes good if you like sugar. And they have a very, like, so this is, just to be clear, this is not just something that we did. There's a whole bunch of different, there's an American ad agency, there's a team at General Mills, there's another creative shop in the US, and then there's us. So there are multiple partners in this. But What's really interesting about this one is that on the back side, so these were sold, this one is just a dummy, it's empty for traveling purposes. Here's a pattern, and it's a drum sampler, so or a drum machine. So you would take out the serials and then you can line them up here, creating your sequence and your pattern, and then you use your phone camera to find this area. It's a QR code thing, and then you can play a drum machine and drum sounds through your phone, and you can actually collect these. So there are 3 different, like there's a bass synth and like a lead synth as well.
Okay, wow.
And you can like play along. But I think this is a really fun example of like an unexpected. We're talking before about building construction site. Maybe it's not, you know, a sound logo. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something unexpected and something that could, you know, spark curiosity in people. People like to be, you know, inspired by things that are not average and typical.
And entertained.
And entertained, for sure. So, yeah, there's always an opportunity, even for serials.
You mentioned working with LinkedIn and this huge Lego project, which wasn't just one small part, but it's the whole thing. At the same time, you're still a team of 5 and a dog, right?
The dog is important.
The boss. And how can you balance taking up these huge projects? I don't know, do you book years ahead for such a huge project, and then or it's piece and bits and
I mean, we try to balance, but it's always a struggle. It is, you know, it's ups and downs, and you're trying to, you know, flatten the curve somehow. But it's a constant struggle finding time and being able to accept all requests. We're fortunate to be busy, but in terms of, you know, finding bandwidth for spending as much efforts and passion as you really want to on any project, it's a constant struggle. Hopefully we get a bit better each year that passes by, but it's, I think we share that thing with many like small agencies, of course.
Yeah, and I would say that sound again, it's a bit of a niche thing, right? So even though you're a huge American corporation and with billions of users like LinkedIn, it still comes down to a handful of sounds. We need to craft those sounds, obviously, but the workload for that might not be on par with the scale that it actually reaches in the end. So I think that might be an explanation to that. You know, we can still be crafting these sounds in our studios in Stockholm, where everything happens, and then they're spread out over the world and they're heard everywhere. But
also there's a fun thing that we see a lot. We joke around a bit about sometimes that the shorter the sound, the more expensive it should be, because it's really it gets more difficult the shorter it is. You know, making a piece of music not that difficult compared to making like 2 seconds of like hero sound. That's tricky. In a lot of ways.
I think probably the most challenging part, if we're talking about entrepreneurship and business, of that equation is probably getting the job in the first place, right? How does a small agency get approached or get in contact with a huge corporation, rather than how can they deliver? Because that's a smaller problem, at least in our for what we do, and how that happens. That's like, I mean, it's hard work, obviously, always trying to network and put your brand and your name out there, but it's really you don't know the ways in which projects come in. Sometimes it can really be, you know, someone that you meet tonight, you know, and you start talking, and then 1 or 2 years down the line, you've done a huge project together. So
at the same time, that's also inspiring, I think. I mean, so always do your best and always be try to be a nice person, and you know, because you never know where it ends up, you know, down the line. It was that person who's now managing that company, and you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and also even though it's a huge corporation, it might only be one person, right, who makes that call. So it really just takes one really good contact. Yeah.
What would be your advice for like the next generation sound designers in the time where we're, like a lot of AI, a lot of ideas about being solo entrepreneur? You're still a team, right? It's not just one solo guy. So I guess you at some point understood that the team is important, or is it, or isn't? Would your advice would be for someone to find also a partner, and or do it solo and stay as a freelancer, or?
Yeah, I think the classic recommendations still apply very much. Like, spend a lot of time, get the hours in there, make sure to always be surrounded with people that are a bit better than you or come a bit longer on the way on their path. I mean, that still makes sense, right? Going solo, I think, it's possible to go solo, but maybe be part of a network or a family of people who are like-minded or want to share your vision, but maybe in another discipline. Why not team up with a visual designer or motion designer to start with and join forces? Meet a lot of people. And of course, as all artful creative work, have the courage to do your thing. That's where you're unique, but that's not easy. It's easy to say, but very difficult to do. But to really believe in the artful side inside of you. Yeah, of course.
I think to me it's been important to be not solo, because you get support. Sometimes you're weak and your partner can be strong, and the other way around. And also tackling, a lot of probably all creative persons struggle with self-confidence also, right? Is this the right thing? Am I good enough, etc.? And then you can help each other out, and maybe someone can be a filter. That's very good for us. I know if you work with the bigger brands, you have to be prepared to get criticized about what you do. And that's hard sometimes. It's hard to get criticized and not take it personally. And, but if you're a team or if you're more people, then, this might not be the perfect fit for you. Maybe I should try it instead. And the other person can be a filter and kind of be a little bit, help each other and put some distance to it, so that you don't have to be consumed with feedback or whatever, and you're working through late nights and all the weekend. It seems like you're never getting right. Well, if you're a team, then you can put some distance between you, and I think that's really helpful, because you're gonna get feedback. Like, you never just make things and then it's perfect. That never happens.
But for you as professionals in the field, is it hard to get closure for the project, or it always seems as incomplete? We can still improve this or that, or you've found the magic kind of thing that it's done and you can be satisfied? Or
for me personally, I could always continue, polishing, but with time and over the years, maybe I've learned to be a little bit better to just let go. But can always be improved.
I would say you're really good at that, keeping that.
Thank you.
keeping the pace and knowing the delivery, and don't be sloppy. I think that's really important for anyone starting out as well. Even though you're a creative mind, maybe that could be your partner then, to have someone that looks after the schedule and the production and the numbers, because it helps everyone. As soon as you start to deviate a little bit from that plan and from that structure, it becomes way more complex. That's hard. That's when you can start to discuss and what was said and what was not said, and this wasn't what we agreed, and then in the end you get bitter, because it's it feels like you you've done maybe something that you didn't agree to.
What is one mistake you constantly see businesses doing in regards to sound, that maybe if they can't afford to hire you this year, they should maybe stop doing that?
Good question. I used to work a lot in the music curation business, like curating music for physical spaces like hotels and restaurants and stuff like that. And that at that time, going back to implementation, I thought the problem was that I couldn't oftentimes hear what was played. That even though the content was very well picked and very well crafted, implementation suffered because the sound quality wasn't good enough, or it wasn't enough speakers, or the speakers were high up in the ceiling. And we can see the same thing in apps sometimes, or on websites. Like the implementation it isn't perfected all the way out to the output. So I think caring and being passionate about every step, from asking the why in the beginning to actually pressing play in the end. That it's easy, like you put a lot of effort in the middle, but really see things through. And also in terms of sound identities, dare to police how it's used afterwards, making sure it's actually used and developed and questioned and audited and measured. And it's a constant work.
Yeah, I agree. It's the implementation that is probably lacking for most of them. If you crafted a beautiful sound logo that everyone is really happy with, you should use it at every opportunity you can, where it makes sense. Obviously, you don't want to disturb people, but don't use versions of it or something like that. Stick to the one that we crafted and use it.
Make an icon.
Make an icon. The other thing also that Hans touched upon, context. A lot of brands forget about the context in which it's gonna live, right? It could be in an event space, and you created this great experience for your customers, and then when you show up and you're actually there, you realize that the next space next to your beautiful installation is like a music bar pumping out music. How is your sound gonna come through? How is it perceived in relation to what you hear? And the same problem we see, of course, with ads and social media. Like, you don't necessarily know what comes before your time to shine, so to speak,
or after, or at the same time.
How do we deal with that? Like, how do we deal with that sound in relation to the other things that comes? So I think thinking about that bigger picture is a big mistake. Forgetting thinking about that bigger picture and the context.
Now, one of my last questions. We also help companies do brand upgrades, and sometimes we see that the part of the company is willing to. They want the upgrade. They see the reason, but the association with the existing and thinking of changing the existing might be like fearful. I assume like hearing the sound and the sound design might be maybe even more when people have used to the sound. It gives association and comfort. When a company thinking of upgrade with the existing sound identity, have you done such projects, and is it easy to also...
Don't do it.
Don't do it?
Don't do it.
Okay. Yeah, you stick with the existing, or you like build upon it?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no sound identity upgrades?
Of course. I mean, obviously there comes a time, there could be other reasons, right? But a lot of updates, I feel sometimes isn't just, it's because a new marketing director or a new person feels like they want to make their mark. We many times think like, just stick with what you have. I mean,
eventually it will
eventually it will, or maybe they haven't used it the right way or in the right context. Maybe it's, you know, not strategically aligned, or
But sometimes for functional purposes, it could be a good idea to
could be a good idea,
or
functional, or if you change position, like if you move your brand from this area to this, you want to take a new position, then yes. But there's actually a story to the HBO sound logo. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where it's like there's like and that's been going on for quite some time. And a lot of people, I mean, it's a weird one, right? It, first of all, it's TV static that kids today, they don't even know what that is because there's no static anymore, right? So, and it sounds very time-stamped in the sound of that synth choir and like everything. But people love it. And they've been trying to redo it a few times. And they never managed to, because people love the original, and they've spent years trying to redo it to something that's upgraded and more in line with today's trend or the sound world of today. But then they do studies and they show that no, people want the original one.
So emotions always beat the sense or making sense of it. I mean, that's doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, it's like our voice. It doesn't change as often as our clothes, right? The visual aspect.
Right.
So,
that's a beautiful metaphor. Yeah.
Then you can play with it. I mean, if you have a very, if everyone knows your brand, I mean, HBO could play with it, do some, creative outtakes, because it's so established. That's interesting. Then it's like, oh, now you did this. That was creative and interesting.
But it's still, you can
it's still
recognize
it's still that.
Okay, I want to end with the last question about your prediction about the future of sound's role in branding, and maybe your maybe your prediction about the next year or maybe two, not like super long future. What or how can companies or marketing people should prepare themselves when they think of all the social media communication, more demanding needs for creating content and also in video format, choosing different songs. Your prediction that at some point people will get tired of it, or it will just keep going up and it will require more and more to stand out and the noise will increase, or you think we have reached kind of the very pinnacle of the top part and we will need more silence?
Yeah, I don't know if I can predict the future, but I can have a hope and faith. I truly hope that that people both are on the client side, but also on the design side of things, will be even more aware. Like a very simple trick is to just close your eyes now and then. Is our brand still here? Is our brand present even though I have a mask on or close my eyes? I think that's a very simple exercise that is healthy to do now and then. Or is our brand just gone? And hopefully that exercise is exercised more often from now on, because I think we all suffer from the noise, both the visual noise and the audio noise. Being more purposeful in how you use design in general, and particular audio as it spreads. It's behind our backs, 360 degrees. So that's my, if not my prediction, so my hope for the future. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, everything goes in circles, right? So when you reach that pinnacle of what you can take, then going back to pure listening. If we talk about music, for instance, you go to a music bar where you just focus on listening to the music, then that becomes really exciting again. And then that kind of, builds up over time, and then you want to go back. So one thing that we know for sure is that there's no lack of content or music or sounds or videos for that matter. And I think that people will reach new levels of acceptance to, if we talk about AI and all the AI stuff that is produced, it's like, oh, maybe it doesn't matter for the listening pleasure if it's made by AI or if it's made by a music group. Maybe not, but then there's so much more to it. You want to know the person behind it, and you want to see them, and you want to touch and feel it, and you want to like deepen your relationship with it. That's harder with AI so far. You don't really have that touch and feel to it, right? But I don't know. I like to stay open-minded and curious and see where it goes. You know,
We'll stick around.
We'll stick around, and eventually it will be back to, you know, the most fundamental questions of life and what you like to do and how you would like to see the world, and faith and connection and people, and you know,
and fun.
Yeah.
Thanks. If any of our listeners would like to get in touch with your studio, or any of you, what would be the best way to reach out, or the best format? Or
yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can post link to our web in this episode, and there you'll find all
contact
you need.
Info, email,
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
And also, we're based in Stockholm, so if you're
the small pond,
across the small pond, it's apparently no more than 440 kilometers.
Okay.
So yeah, just feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was great talk.
All right, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in to the Asketic Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or such topics, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to hear more such content, make sure you subscribe to Asketic Podcast channel on Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite platform. Make sure you click on notification bell so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next one.